Hey there, welcome back. My name is Katie and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living. If you are new to my channel, we welcome you. And today we are canning spaghetti sauce. I have an abundance of tomatoes coming out of the garden and I'm running out of spaghetti sauce on my pantry shelf. So I am going to can this up today for you. And I have actually been, as I've been harvesting them, I've been coring them and putting them in freezer bags, throwing them in the freezer. The ones I had in the freezer bags, I have in this roaster pan here on the stove, kind of trying to evaporate some of that water that had kind of, I guess as they kind of leaked out as they were freezing, if that makes sense, because I cored them before I put them in there, and so I'm sure some of that juice kind of leaked out. But I'm gonna put them in the oven and roast them. I have the oven preheating to 450 right now, and then we will turn on the broil to kind of get some color on the skins, because I do not peel my tomatoes when I am making my spaghetti sauce. I do leave them in. I use the immersion blender to blend it all up, and it blends up just beautifully. I've never peeled them. So I have some more tomatoes left to core, and I am excited that the onions we're using in this are also from the garden. And so let's go ahead and get the rest of our tomatoes ready to go. All right, so we're gonna be using about 9 pounds of tomatoes in total. Some of them I have are just these little cherry tomatoes. We actually had a volunteer plant of cherry tomatoes that we did not plant. It must have been, it was on the side of our compost pile. And so they must have been some seeds that we had thrown out, like with a, maybe like scraps from a salad or something. So we actually did not even plant these cherry tomatoes. All right, so I'm just gonna core these out. These are a combo of Creole tomatoes and beefsteak tomatoes. All right, so I'm gonna get these in the roaster pan and we'll put those in the oven, and then we'll get started on our other veggies. All right, so we're gonna let those cook down for a little while, get them all nice and tender, and then I'll turn the broiler on for a few minutes just to get some color on them. And we'll get our onions chopped now. So we'll save all these cores for my chickens. And when I'm kind of peeling onions, I like to put the paper towel down and then be able to tie up all the scraps and just throw it away. So I'm gonna get these all peeled. All right, so I can just roll all this up and throw this in the trash. Okay, so I got this handy chopper on Amazon. I don't use this like for when I'm just chopping a little bit of onion or something, but I have found it's pretty handy for chopping quite a bit. So we'll get all these chopped. All right, and that quickly we have all of our onions diced. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to saute my onions and garlic in a skillet before we add it to our tomatoes, because I want that olive oil toasty in the vegetables. So that's what we're going to do now. So in our skillet here, I got it on, let me see, about a medium high. Put some olive oil in here. Need to refill my bottle. And we're gonna put, I'm gonna say most of this in here. Instead of peeling a bunch of garlic today, I'm using these frozen garlic pucks I have. I just get bulk organic garlic cloves from Costco, and I like a lot of garlic. Comes 3 pounds for about $10, and then I throw them in the food processor, use a cookie scoop, scoop them out, freeze them, and then put them in a Ziploc bag. So we'll get this sauteed up, and then we will be able to add this to our tomatoes. I went on and added some oregano, basil, and red pepper flakes to this. This is our garlic and onions and olive oil here. Got these sauteed up. If you can see our tomatoes over here, let me just kind of show you the color we got on them. A little bit of color on them. Spoon all these over here. All right, I'm gonna get all these in the pot. I'm gonna let them simmer for a little while, and then we're gonna add some more seasonings to this. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, so I added about 10 fresh basil leaves to this, and back to the dried oregano and basil and red pepper flakes. I am gonna say, so these are 0.45 ounce jars. I'm gonna say added about a half a jar of this. That's the oregano. Let me see what this one looks. Yeah, about a half a jar of the basil, and then I'd say about a fourth of the jar of the red pepper flakes. I just have a little bit left. I'm gonna throw those in there too. So now we're gonna add some onion powder. I'm gonna go grab my garlic powder. So there's a couple tablespoons of onion powder. Same with the garlic powder. Maybe a quarter of a cup. We're gonna add some salt. We're gonna say it's a couple of tablespoons of salt. And then I'm gonna start with a half a cup of sugar for now. Sugar just cuts the acidity of the tomatoes. So we're gonna go with that, and we're gonna use our immersion blender. I'm gonna turn my burner off. So you're gonna want to be very careful doing this. so you don't splatter the hot liquid on you. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can use a regular blender. Just do a little bit at a time. I'm putting it in at an angle. See if we got everything blended. Alright, I know it looks light after we've used the blender on there because there is air incorporated in there, but I'm going to show you one of my jars. I only have 2 jars left from last time I did it. Let me show you what. So it does darken up. That's just some air that's incorporated. You can see the little bitty bubbles, but it will darken up like a regular spaghetti sauce. All right, we'll give this a little taste. We got a good start. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt to this. I think we're really close to being good. This Red Bend Real Salt doesn't have any caking agents in it, so it likes to clump up in my jar. Need to refill my jar. I like to have my sauce ready to go so that when I go to use it, I don't have to do anything to add anything to it. I know, like if I buy spaghetti sauce in a jar at the shelf of the store, I always have to add a lot of stuff to it. So I like to have this ready to go. Very good. All right, so we're gonna move over and we're gonna get this jarred up. Okay, so we have our 7-quart jars here that we're gonna fill with our sauce. 7 quarts is how many fit in my canner over there. You can use any large stock pot that water will be able to cover your jars by a couple of inches. We're just going to ladle this in with our funnel. I'm leaving about a 1-inch head space here. I did heat my jars in with the water that's in my pot so that they do not get shocked by the hot sauce going in them. And we will process this for 35 minutes in these quart jars. Well, I don't think I'm gonna get 7 jars out of this. There must have been a lot of water content in these tomatoes. All right, I will just put that in the fridge for use this week. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is take some vinegar. We're gonna wipe our rims here. I wanna make sure everything seals really well. We'll take our band and our lid. All right, it's been a couple of days and I ended up having to use one of these to make, I had 2 left on my shelf and I used one of these, so I used 3 quarts total of spaghetti sauce to make my zucchini lasagna. If you saw that video, and I'll leave it up here in the cards if you hadn't seen it, I have an abundance of zucchini in the garden And I made a zucchini lasagna to try and use some of that. Instead of noodles, I use zucchini that I cut in thin slices. I tried to draw all the moisture out of it that I could. It's ended up being super wet anyway, even though I salted it and then I pan sauteed it. I did all these things to try and draw the moisture out, and it wasn't enough. So it was a very wet lasagna. So my husband suggested freeze drying the zucchini, and I did that, and it turned out perfectly. I will try to insert a picture here. So that you can see what it looked like with the freeze-dried zucchini. Anyway, so I ended up using one of these quarts. Good thing I had canned it and made some because I needed it. So I have 5 quarts left, and I'm about to make another pan of the zucchini lasagna tomorrow for my daughter to take to her Bible study. And so I'm gonna have to make some more sauce real soon. Good thing we have lots of tomatoes coming in from the garden. So I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you try to can something if you haven't ever canned it. A spaghetti sauce is a good way to go with a water bath canner. It's not as intimidating as, say, a pressure canner. And if you hear that timer, that is my next canning project on the stove right now. It's an apple pie filling, so that will be coming up soon. And follow along if you want to do some more canning, if you want to do some cooking. We do all kinds of things. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.